Hey guys, Michael the DC Multiverse Collector here, excited to be bringing you this review of the McFARLANE Collector Edition, DC Multiverse, Red Hood, and Agent Liberty. Now these two figures are part of the latest Collector Edition wave. I've already reviewed the first two figures in this wave, being Ragman and Clock King, as well as Clock King's Platinum Chase figure, so I thought it was about time we wrapped up this wave by reviewing Red Hood and Agent Liberty together. Now right at the top, let me thank Head Start Toys and McFarlane Toys for providing me with these awesome looking figures for review. If you're looking to pick up these yourself, I highly recommend you shop at any one of our awesome Australian local online retailers. If you're in Australia, my favourite being Green Rock Comics. Awesome store, free shipping over $100, great range, great customer service. Anyway, on to these figures. I've got to say, when these were first announced, Red Hood had me curious, like what would this be? Would it be another version of Jason Todd? But no, then we got the reveal and it was the classic Red Hood in his original incarnation, the original form of the Joker, part of a criminal gang and knocked into the vat of chemicals at Ace Chemicals by Batman, becoming the Joker. Just one origin story involving the Red Hood. And Agent Liberty, I just had no idea who this was. I had to go to, Google, Wikipedia, read a bit about him. He seems like a fairly minor player in the DC world, so I don't feel too bad about not knowing him. But I'm kind of glad to have a figure of him, and I really love it when you get like a figure, you're collecting a line, and you're like, I want to know more about this guy, and you go down a rabbit hole and you learn more about the characters that they've made figures of. Sometimes you can appreciate a figure on its own terms, and then use that as a gateway into the DC universe. So I really like that. Thank you, McFarlane, for the deep cut. I really like the deep cut, and I think it makes it a fun line to collect. And on the side of the box you can see that Red Hood is taken from Detective Comics, and it's number 20 in the Collector Edition subline, and Agent Liberty is taken from the Panic in the Sky storyline, which I haven't read, and he's number 17 in the Collector Edition line. And on the back we have some very nice looking art of the Red Hood from the comics. Looks tremendous. I can already see some differences to the figure in the box, notably with the colour of the suit and the bow tie, but I generally think, it's quite an evocative piece. I really like it. And the Agent Liberty here looks like it might be art generated solely for use on the back of the box. You will notice that he's wearing a white suit. The figure is in a black suit. Now, there is a Platinum Chase version of the figure that does come in this white suit, and I understand that the white suit is actually Agent Liberty's standard look, and the black suit was used just in the Panic in the Sky storyline, sort of as a one-off. It's one of those odd McFarlane choices that only makes sense if you consider that he's doing it deliberately to make everyone go out and find the more desirable Chase figure. But anyway, let's get these figures open and see how cool they really are. Alrighty, so I've opened up both of these figures and laid out everything we get in the box on the table, and you can see it's not a huge spread in terms of quantity, but maybe it makes up for it in terms of quality. Let's start with the most boring stuff first. Both figures come with a DC Multiverse display stand. Always happy to have them. Nothing exciting to say. These are the Collector Edition versions, so they come with the DC logo stamped on. Good to have, but not much to say about them. Next, we get the card stands. Now, these are utterly useless, and I believe they might be being phased out in future. That's the rumor. And we also get the collector cards, which, being the Collector Edition version, they have that really nice silver foil down the side and no borders, and I think the art on these is both really nice, especially the Red Hood card, so that's pretty cool. And on the back, we get the data file for Red Hood and Agent Liberty, aka Benjamin Lockwood. You can pause there and have a read. Agent Liberty in particular was really interesting to me. He's kind of a former CIA agent who becomes disillusioned with the agency, goes rogue, forms his own group, joins a group, the Sons of Liberty, and, goes on espionage-style adventures. He kind of reminds me of Captain America in the storylines where he would go rogue and, leave the government and go off on his own. Quite interesting to read. You can pause there if you want to go through all the details. In terms of substantive accessories, Red Hood comes with a few more. So you'll see he comes with 3 accessories, which are all weapons. We get this sort of pickaxe type thing. It's nice to have. It looks like it's been painted silver rather than cast in silver plastic. It's got a nice metallic sheen to it that I really like, and it's kind of soft without being ridiculously gooey. And we get this really nice crossbow, which I like. We don't have too many crossbows in the line, and this one is quite nice. The paint is simple, it's just all silver, so there's no detail for the bolt in there, but I kind of just like to have it. It's something unique. And we also get this hilariously small switchblade knife with a thick handle and a tiny switchblade. It looks really ridiculous in my opinion. And what's interesting is that we get 3 weapons, but only 1 gripping hand to hold them. So he's only going to be able to hold one of these 3 weapons, and you're just going to have to pick which one that is. Now, Agent Liberty, on the other hand, just comes with the 2 accessories. One, and the good one, is this energy shield. It's cast in sort of a translucent blue plastic in a really nice shade. It's got this sort of sculpting around the edge that gives you the impression that it is made of sort of energy, I guess. And it's got this little clip here that presumably will clip onto his arm. We'll have a look at that later. But, you know, in theory, I quite like this. What's not so good is that sort of bit in the middle where you can see where the clip goes on. It'd be good maybe if they just painted this or something so you didn't get that garish sort of rectangle right in the middle of the shield. We also get this little jet piece that'll clip into his back there. I'll show you that in a minute. I think there's a rule with DC Multiverse. If you give us a jetpack piece like this, like a flame piece, you need to give us a flight stand so we can pose the figure flying. That's just a rule that I think should be in place. So it's nice to get this. It's not hugely exciting, but better than nothing. So yeah, those are the accessories. As you can see, it's not the most inspiring sort of array. We don't get any alternate hands with these guys, no alternate heads, which I guess makes sense for both of them. But come on, Todd, where are the alternate hands? I digress. Let's have a look at these figures up close, starting with the Red Hood. So I don't know that many people out there that were clamoring for a classic vintage Red Hood figure, but having received the figure, I'm actually really pleased. I kind of love it when McFARLANE goes back to the 40s and 50s for his inspiration. I think that just adds some diversity to the line. It adds a sense of history too. This is really cool to get, and I think it's actually just a striking design. It always was. For those of you who've read The Killing Joke, where they do sort of the flashback sequence to where the Joker in his pre-Joker persona as a comedian is kind of convinced to rob a chemical plant with, by putting on this red hood so that no one would see him, this like canister on his head, and he meets Batman and obviously falls to his doom. It's just very different from the sort of thing we get in the line. What is not different, of course, is this body, which we've seen so many times. This is the body from the 3 Jokers Joker. In particular, I believe the Criminal had this version with the sort of buttoned up suit here. It's very, very similar to the Death in the Family Joker, which also uses the same legs, the same diaper, different suit piece, but the same arms. It's just super familiar. We've had like 4 or 5 Jokers that all use some variation of this body. It's just really dull. Proportions are kind of weird. The sculpt is nice, but I kind of already know what this is. And of course, if you compare this to the art on the card, you will see that he's meant to have a bow tie, but he has this like little cravatty thing, or I don't know what you call it, that little, limp ribbony thing. Anyway, it's not the right bow tie, so it's not even accurate to the source material really, which is kind of a bummer. If you're gonna give us the classic design, give us the classic design, and if you're gonna reuse this old buck, just modify it a little bit to give him a bow tie. So it just feels like this is just a tiny bit lazy. What doesn't feel lazy though is the inclusion of the cloth cape. It is that starchier material, but it's not the most egregious version of the starchier material that I've ever seen. I've seen worse. The Adam West Batman, for one, this kind of feels like a higher quality version of that. I might just be fooling myself. Maybe it's the same, but it doesn't feel the same. It feels better. And you'll see it's got seams down the bottom. So he's got wire along all edges, which is really nice. I like the way it's attached at the shoulders here. And it's light enough that you can kind of get it into some dramatic poses, I guess. And it'll sort of hang. So that's good. I think the shape of the cape is really nice. It's appropriate. It's appropriate in length. It doesn't sort of flare out too wide. That gives him some point of difference and some extra playability. So that's really, really good. Coming in close here, you'll see that this is just an all black figure. It's kind of boring, and the bow tie's wrong. But otherwise, he's okay. He's okay, guys. You've seen this body before, so it's just not that exciting. The head really is probably the most exciting bit, and it's really nice. It's painted beautifully in this metallic red paint. It's a really nice shape. I like it a lot. And you'll see it actually has a bit of articulation. So I can go left, right, down, look up. You can kind of get a bit of expression in it. And because of the way it's shaped, it's got a little taper down there. You can kind of tell if it's looking to the side. So I kind of like that about it. He comes only with one gripping hand, as I said, so you're going to have to pick one accessory to give this guy, and I think I will choose the crossbow because crossbows are cool. So yeah, Red Hood. He's not that exciting, he's not that new, but it's a classic sort of design, and I'm a sucker for classic designs, and I think he has sort of a unique place in my collection. So for that reason alone, I would recommend him. Just don't expect to be blown away. Well, let's take a look now at Agent Liberty. Now, this is a really interesting figure in a lot of ways. Not one that I think anyone had sort of on their radar or on their wish list. We really need an Agent Liberty figure. But like I said at the start of this review, I always love it when Todd McFarlane gives us a deep cut that expands the boundaries of our collection. So here we have Benjamin Lockwood, aka Agent Liberty, to sort of fill out that espionage section or corner of the DC Multiverse. So that's really, really nice in theory. In terms of the figure itself, on his own, he's perfectly competent in a lot of ways. He is using the Blue Beetle Booster Gold body buck, which by now is ubiquitous in the line. We've probably got about 15 to 20 figures using the exact same body. It seems to be the go-to default body for a lot of these spandexy type superheroes. And it's kind of an okay body. Like it's a bit thin in the wrists, and I don't know. I don't think it's probably the best buck that we've got. Let me bring in an example of where this has been used recently for the Atom. You know, when you've got these sort of like very, very simple figures with not a lot adorning them, I think it works really, really well. But what I'm kind of wondering is why doesn't Todd McFarlane use a buck that he's got in his repertoire that doesn't get enough love, that has amazing proportions, just looks tremendous, awesome sculpt, awesome proportions, really heroic. And it's this one, which is the Speeding Bullets body buck, also used here and for Black Lightning, and I think it's just awesome. Look how much taller he is than Agent Liberty. He's a much taller, more buff, more muscular, more heroic version with broader shoulders, better pectorals and abs. I don't know, he just looks way cooler to me. The thicker legs, everything about this body buck is just cooler than this one, and I don't know why Todd hasn't utilized this one more, and I think it would work way better than Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you like the Blue Beetle body buck? Do you think we could do better? Anyway, enough of what the figure isn't, and let's look at what the figure is. He's just black plastic, mostly cast in black plastic, looks fine, slightly reflective, bit glossy looking, very, very simple. The legs are cast in black plastic, but the boots are yellow plastic, not painted, so that's kind of nice. There is this yellow stripe that continues from the boots up to the belt. It quite closely matches the boots, so that's fairly nice, I guess, and it's cleanly painted, so that is pretty good. Can't complain about that. You'll see it's an all new belt piece on the diaper, which helps differentiate this figure, but there's no paint on that belt at all. It's just bland yellow plastic, so it kind of just looks a little bit, I don't know, toy-like or unfinished. Just a little bit of detail would be nice here. Same as on the boots, a little bit more sculpt work. I mean, this is just so clean. I just wish there was a bit more grit, a bit more texture, and I think it would just come alive a lot more. Where the figure does come alive is in this backpack piece. So you'll see that there are these straps here with a symbol in the middle that go all around his body and attach this sort of jetpack backpack thing to his back, which is really nice. I've plugged the flame effect piece in there. You see it fits in there really, really nice. Again, I wish we had a flight stand to pose him with, but all of this is quite nicely sculpted, really lacking on the paint here. It's just very, very flat, bland plastic. But there is nice paint on the straps. You'll see there's a bit of bleeding of yellow here where the emblem meets the straps. That's a little bit messy, but it doesn't look terrible. It just could be a little bit tidier, a bit cleaner. But I think it's this strap and emblem piece here, which you can't take off, but it is a bit movable, that I think it gives this character all his personality. Coming in close for a look at the head sculpt, it's pretty good. It's pretty dull, but pretty good. So you'll see there's a shape of an ear there, which is quite nice. He's got a sort of fairly stoic expression, which I think is suitable for the character. And his eyes, I think, look really good with that shading to really give them some definition and the white in the middle. So I think the head looks really quite good. Can't really complain. The figure as a whole looks good. It's just not great. Like it's fine. I do like the little blue spots on his hands. I'm assuming that's comic accurate. And if so, it's a nice bit of attention to detail. But Yeah, detail, I guess, is what's missing with this guy. He's just very simple. Let me show you some of his accessories. So he comes with this energy shield, which has a clip here. And unlike some of the Marvel Legends clips, those of you who have Captain America Marvel Legends figures will know this, with spindly little clips here that always break and snap and ruin your accessory. This is thick and chunky, and it will just snap on there to his wrist. And you can pose him there with an energy shield, which kind of gives him a little bit more character, I think. So immediately, we've got a little bit more character. He's also got this sort of grippy gun hand, but nothing to hold. Now, Captain America, Agent Liberty does bear arms. So if you've got some guns from the accessory packs or from other figures, slot it in there, and I think he'll be more complete. It's a real shame that he doesn't come with anything. I've taken this little sort of World War II style pistol from my accessories pack. See if I can get it in there. Okay, after some finagling, I got the pistol in there, and while it's not really the right style of gun for this guy, it looks way better than having nothing there. So you'll see with the energy shield and a gun, this guy kind of comes to life and has more like fun factor and personality. And as we know, the Blue Beetle body is quite posable, so you'll be able to do some really cool stuff. I do think with that jetpack piece, it would have been cool to come with a flight stand so we could pose him flying. I think that's just an obvious win that was sort of just like left on the table. But yeah, you can see that if you kind of deck this guy out with a weapon and a flight stand, he could be quite a cool shelf figure. Like, he'll look really nice, sort of posed dynamically. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential to this figure, and I think he could have gone harder on the paint, on the sculpt, on the accessories, and it could have been something really special. As it is, it's just perfectly fine. Alright, so for a quick comparison, I thought I would line up Red Hood and Agent Liberty with some of the figures that they could be posed with, or that sort of fit within their corner of the world, I guess. So we have here Red Hood alongside the first appearance Batman, and I think these guys look really, really good together, both in terms of scale and art design, and I just love that first appearance Batman figure. He's a little bit big, but I love him, and if you've been watching the Caped Crusader animated series on Amazon, like I have, yeah, this figure is hitting all the right notes, and I think that Red Hood and first appearance Batman go together like peanut butter and jelly, and so if you've got the first appearance Batman, I highly recommend getting the Red Hood to pose alongside him and recreate some classic comic scenes. Then you will see that we have Agent Liberty right next to Peacemaker, who's from the Suicide Squad movie, so a completely different universe than the comics, but they both fit into that morally grey government agent sort of persona. And Peacemaker, Agent Liberty, Peace, you know, they're sort of trawling through the same thematic landscape. But what is clear is that they are not in scale at all. You will see that John Cena Peacemaker is massively sort of out of scale with Agent Liberty, or vice versa. I think Agent Liberty is just too small, Peacemaker's just a little too big, but if I had to pick, I wish Agent Liberty was just a little bit bigger. That Blue Beetle Booster Gold body buck is just a little bit small, and he doesn't fit all characters, so I kind of wish that body would stop being used across the line so heavily. There are better bodies that more accurately convey the scale and physique of some of these characters, so that's just something I would say. So overall, I think both these figures fit into the same basic category of being good, but not great. Agent Liberty is on that sort of very old, very overused Blue Beetle body buck. I don't know that it's the right buck for him. It's very flat, very unsculpted, very plain, but I think the embellishments there, the accessories, the energy shield, the straps, I think they all give this figure a bit more personality than he otherwise would have. I think giving him a gun really elevates him, and like I said earlier, a flight stand is really a must for a jetpack character. It's a good figure, it's not a great figure, it's certainly a deep cut and it won't be for everybody. Now, Red Hood, on the other hand, I think is just a classic design, and I think if you've got any affinity for Batman's history in those early years, the 40s, the 50s, this has kind of got to be a must-have. It's a seminal part of Batman's history, the lore, the mythology of Batman and the Joker. He looks great with the first appearance Batman, and while there's nothing too much exciting going on and he uses that old Joker body, I think the cloth cape and the beautiful head sculpt really do elevate it. He comes with a lot of nice accessories, but some alternate hands would have been, a nice bonus. So hopefully, future collector edition figures will have a decent array of alternate hands. Anyway, those are just my thoughts on these two good but not great figures. Let me know in the comments, guys. Are you picking up either of these, and if so, which? I always love debating and arguing and discussing thoughts with you in the comments, so please let me know what you are thinking, of course. Lots more reviews coming up, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It really helps me out, keeps you informed of my videos, and gets them out to a wider audience. And if this video was helpful, entertaining, or informative, why not give it a like? That helps me too. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and happy collecting.